Hello, my lovelies. How are you? I hope you're well. So, this week, I'm a little bit late, all about embracing our intuition, our psychicness, our emotions. Last week, we learned how to identify and be aware of divine feminine energy and connecting with it all around us. And it was a lovely week. I'm pretty late on this one. Sorry, been going through a lot here and working really late. I have to do it again here in like an hour, so I'm pressed for time, unfortunately. But if you have not checked out all the other wonderful videos in this hashtag, please do and support your fellow community member. They are all wonderful. I've been catching up on them and I think they're amazing. Thank you guys so much for participating. And if you want a copy of the free digital journal created by Rochelle at Amethyst Ascension, Tarot and Astrology, her link will be in the description to her Ko-fi. And I'm going to link my Ko-fi. I don't have much on it yet, but there are certain readings if interested. If not, cool. And please go check out the Amethyst Ascension Divination and Spirituality group for some updates in the tag, for the spreads if you don't have a digital journal, and we'd love to have you there. So one thing I did want to mention after seeing Rochelle's video this week, I thought it was very well spoken, lovely said, and I wanted to kind of touch on that because it is something that I was planning on touching on. Is overall, I do believe that at the core essence of source, divine masculine and feminine energy is of one. It's one being. The reason that we have this polarity or duality is because of the dimension that we are in. In this dense third dimension, everything is dualistic. So it manifests in that way. Part of, I think, balancing not only our masculine and divine feminine energy, but everything else that is dualistic in this world. That is what I feel the symbolism in all the occult works and the alchemical depictions of the divine feminine and masculine harmony. All of this stuff is kind of hinting or symbolic to this, or so I believe. Ultimately, all is one. Ultimately, there is no separation when you are one with divinity. But we are doing this because we do live in this reality. It does manifest in different ways, and there has been a heavy imbalance. So, to balance this, and the feminine and divine masculine is just one aspect of this duality or polarization. I feel like if we didn't have it, and Earth really is a school for ascension and growth, I feel like if we didn't have duality, we wouldn't have as much pain, we wouldn't have as much division, we wouldn't have as much stuff going on that teaches us or kind of triggers growth through a process or a journey. So really, it's all about, in my opinion, becoming one with divinity and one with your godlike self, your own divinity, the part of you that is divine. And one thing this week we are heavily focusing on is our intuition. And this can go for men and women. Men, they have intuition as well. How connected are they to their divine feminine energy? Luke, for example, has always listened to his intuition, and it's saved him from some serious stuff. Me, on the other hand, because of the suppression I feel of society in the divine feminine, we've always kind of been told, some of us, that we're crazy if we just have a knowing about something and bring it up, but we have no proof, but it turns out to be true. That was our divine feminine intuition. I feel like heavily in society, what I mean by the divine being suppressed and imbalanced is For one, like imagination. We're told that that's just your imagination, and the imagination isn't as important as logic, which that is bullshit to me. Because if we did not have imagination, then we don't have creativity. And imagination is something, again, everybody has. We embrace it when we are doing art, dancing, building, a lot of men in construction. That creativity is all divine feminine energy. And when we don't nurture these feminine aspects to the self or the world, we get imbalance. So, my question to you this week is, how has your intuition been suppressed either by yourself or society? How has your psychicness been suppressed by yourself or society? What were you programmed to think and believe when it comes to your abilities and your intuition, your emotions? What I mean by emotions, part of being in your defined feminine energy is integrating your emotions, feeling them. So this week, I really encourage you to sit with this and try to connect more to your intuition. Think of times where you didn't listen to it and it got you into some risky situations, or you really felt pain or consequence due to not listening to it because you wanted to rely too much on the logical aspect. I can remember one time, which I know all of us ladies, we have dreams, right? That our man might be cheating on us. I feel like, though, that we can determine when these are just dreams or when this is a message of your subconscious screaming at you from your intuition. I've had dreams where, say, for example, Luke's cheating on me, and you're kind of salty from it, but at the same time, you know it was just a dream. Okay, guys, so yesterday I had issues filming. This is future Courtney coming to finish yesterday's video. Now, where did we leave off? Yes, so we know when it is just a dream, but let me tell you, one time I was with this guy, and this is a true story. I had a dream that he had met another girl at her job at McDonald's and went to her house and they did the deed. Well, I could not escape this heart-sinking feeling, even to the point of panic attacks. And there were red flags if I look back, but I ignored them, keeping a faith and my intuition. It was just ripping at me, and I knew it was my intuition. But then you get these struggling thoughts, oh, I don't want to accuse if it isn't true. And then you're questioning your intuition, you're based off your logic. Well, turns out it was true, exactly how the dream had happened. And basically the whole point is, if we really look at these instances where we can think back on and we have noted where our intuition has told us something and we ignored it, and then there were consequences afterwards, we can kind of see the difference between when we're just in fear of something and when it is actually our intuition. So try to identify that feeling, because I feel like sometimes it can be different, though ultimately the same, kind of in your gut, like you have a knowing in your bones. But try to identify the way you had felt, and let's try to connect to that and utilize that. Okay, I had to get my coffee very early, guys, and I'm trying to remember where I was yesterday on this, because I was on it yesterday. I had a lot to say, and now I'm kind of scatterbrained. If you could insert 90s dial-up internet sound here. Anyway, oh yes, next, emotions. One important aspect of integrating our emotions, and why I feel like that's a very feminine thing, is for a overall spiritual reason. I guess it could go hand in hand with ascent. And kind of back to what Rochelle or I were talking about when it comes to like everything being an overall. See, spiritually, I have a belief, and maybe you guys could think about it and see how you feel about this belief. But I believe when we're starting on our spiritual journeys, and it's a healing journey, and it comes with a whole lot of emotions, right? Well, a lot of us stay lost because we can't integrate those emotions through our healing. Like me, several times I've had situations re-arise, especially recently, where I've went, wait a minute, I've done work on this. Why does this keep coming back? Why? And upon a lot of pondering through this tag, I think I have it. These are my thoughts anyway. So, when we're starting out in our healing journey, I feel like we all point fingers. Projection, right? It's easy to project, to judge, and that's because people mirror parts of your pain, of you, not only just the shadow, but many, many aspects. Even, the people that we think are better than us are mirroring that piece of us that is better, that piece of us that is beautiful, that piece of us that's inside of us that we lie to ourselves and say we can't be. So that's just one of many examples of how people mirror. But I believe that when we're starting out in our spiritual journey, our healing journey, our emotional journey, it kind of starts like that. And I saw something brilliant. Has anybody ever watched Michael Murdad? He's on YouTube. I really like him. A lot of his teachings are quite wise. But I was actually watching him the other day when this question arose, and I was thinking about it a lot. And he brought up a example called the dartboard effect. And it's like he was explaining that you could have a dartboard with your enemy's photo on it. You throw so many darts, which is our judgments, our projections, and eventually that picture will dissolve, right? If there's enough holes in it and it feels like it's gone. But then another picture could just replace it. So when I thought about this, I was like, okay, wow. So what it is accountability or responsibility in our own healing processes and our own paths and journeys. And part of that accountability and responsibility is integration of our emotions. That feminine ability or gift to be able to do this. And that may be one reason why things keep coming up for me. I think that'll be special to everybody. But as we go along and further in our advancements of our journey, spiritually and healing wise, things start leaving from a me or you issue and becoming a collective. So that's kind of like a progress along that journey versus, you did this, now it goes collectively, which is what I think we see happening in our world right now. Male versus female. I'm sure you can think of many others because there's a whole lot more going on right now. It's a polarity and a collective thing that I feel like we're all trying to work out when it comes to our pain, our emotions, our traumas, because we truly aren't separated. And if we are truly one, then we would advance to that part, which is good news. Right now it looks like chaos in the world, but it's good news because it means we're progressing out of a I to a we consciousness. And eventually we'll integrate all of this and be set upon our right paths. And I think that's a very beautiful thing though I regret the pain it takes to get through these things. So, integrating emotions, not only with the self, but collectively, is very, very important. And I feel like with this entire tag, it's kind of what we're doing here. We are trying to bring that energy back, trying to be heard. And not only is that very healing for women, but for men too. Um, I think men, part of their struggle, and gosh, they do have a struggle, is the lack of the divine feminine energy. Um, we all need it. We all need that nurture. So, everything that the divine feminine is to you, I would also like you, while you're trying to integrate these emotions, to take those characteristics and traits of the divine feminine and use them on yourself. That's how I plan on trying to integrate emotion. So, the nurturing, nurture yourself. The love yourself. Really, really try to take these characteristics and turn them on yourself. Can we take the dark divine feminine and turn that on ourselves to utilize it? Well, we're going to need to do this, because after this week, guys, kind of out with the only love and light stuff, we're going dark. We're channeling that darker essence. And really, there is no separation with that, too. There is no duality in that. It's just the terms I can use so we can understand. But it is everything. So there is no separation between the dark and light with divine feminine energy. So, what are some of the darker traits of the divine feminine? She is cunning. Like Rochelle said, aggressive. That's a really good one. Not so much aggressive as in, I don't think, like the masculine energy form of like, assertive, drive. Aggressive as in, she's a defender. She is a defender. When you have somebody, like, look at your family and how that manifests in your family. I know in the movies, a lot of the times we see, like the men being the protector, which I do agree that's a masculine energy. However, it goes a little beyond just protecting, I feel. A mother defending her children. How many times have we channeled that dark feminine energy when we heard from another parent, go get your mom, knowing that our children were in the right? How many times did we go up against schools, or I can think of times I went against grown men bigger than me for my children or family? We have it built in us naturally to defend. And I wouldn't say that women can't be warriors. Look how many were in history. We're very enduring, very enduring. Have you ever seen a male try to do the period simulator? It's great stuff, guys. We're brave, courageous. How many stories have you heard of a courageous woman doing something and it ended up saving the men? Twilight, for example, and I have one real one in history. You remember that story about, it was the native story? I forget exactly how it goes, but they were up against vampires and about to lose, and to save her tribe, she'd cut her hand and did a brave thing, right? Distracted them long enough to kill the vampire. Well, even in history, Freydis Eric's daughter, when they sailed upon a shore and they were outnumbered, and a lot of the men were too frightened to pursue this battle. Pregnant, she bared her chest and was so fierce and powerful in her voice, she frightened those men away. There is something very fierce and powerful about that feminine energy, that warrior defense energy. So you always hear, like, on a field, the offense and the defense, you know. I feel like that is a perfect portrayal of the masculine and feminine protective energy. You have one that's front center, ready to go right at you in your face, and you have the feminine here who is cunning and will use their wit and defend. Sometimes they'll use their force and they will channel their masculine energy, and it becomes a wow, amplified, powerful thing. Sexuality. She's a seductress. How many times have we been able to seduce to get to where we want to, or to get what we want? Yes, it is true, and we're getting more deeper into this, that women have been told for so long it's their only worth or value or power. So I think we learned to use that to our advantage, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as you're in consenting control of that. It's one of two things. Either the patriarchy saw that power, so they wanted to demonize it and call us seductresses, or we chose to use the power we had in the only way we could. So we're going to get into all of these topics and more next week. I don't want to get too much into it, and it's not really what this was about. But anyway, we should channel that darkness too and turn that inward, and be allies with it. No shame, right? I want you to think of a time for emotions this week that you were shamed for something like that, whether it be slut shaming, or whether that be another where you used your voice and you were being argumentative or not taken seriously, or you were called difficult, or whatever. Any scenario where you can channel and become allies with your darkness as you're trying to integrate these emotions, because it's going to prepare us for next week's work. I want you to take those moments and I want you to try to hold it in your center and stay there in your center and really analyze how we can not allow anything outside of us to remove us from that center, because we love ourselves and our divine feminine energy so much that we are not going to lean into others and fall for that trap and let it pull us out of that center. That we are going to be allied with the darkness and one with our emotions and our light, and channel this energy, because we're really going to need it. Next week's going to be powerful. So that's kind of why I wanted to get us practicing our intuition, our integration of emotions, and kind of channeling this, all in preparation for the rest of the month. It's going to be intense. So I'm really excited for it, and the live this coming Tuesday. So the exercise for this week that I would like to ask you to try is try other forms of divination that you haven't tried yet. For me, I have done automatic writing quite frequently in the past, but it's been a long time, and I'm feeling a little out of touch the last few years since I lost my family, actually, with some of my abilities. I know that I've been imbalanced in this, so I'm going to try to rekindle all of that. But try a form of divination that you don't frequent very often. See if something, and keep going until you feel that connection with your intuition and test that intuition. Set little tests up for yourself, or have somebody else help you. What I mean by that is maybe draw a shape on 2 pieces of paper and try to use your intuition to find the right shape, every round. Something. Just try to really connect with your intuition and gifts. You can even be creative, develop your own methods or exercises. Also, this was a powerful, intense moon. Oh my gosh, I swear I had like 3 meltdowns. And now I look back and I'm like, why'd I do that? Why'd I react like that? Why'd I feel that way? Why? Well, I've been journaling a lot, guys, as you can see over here. Yeah, journaling a lot. Um, so, yeah, there's that. I want you to write your emotions down. Really try to process them, because that also is what helps us remain imbalanced and unintegrated, is we don't process them. And use the moon. For the rest of the month, try to track your emotions with each moon cycle and phase. And at the end of the month, read it. Kind of analyze it. See if you can identify anything there that would be useful in your path. All right, my lovelies, I am going to be using the Healing of the Inner Child Oracle. Carla sent this to me. I won it in her giveaway. And oh my gosh, I'm so in love with this deck. So in love with it. Thank you so much, Carla. You're amazing. But, this deck reeks like that divine feminine energy to me. Though it is about healing like the inner child and such, I think that's very valid for this week. Seems that I personally am really working on integrating a lot of my emotions. How well do I listen to my intuition? Well, we're about to see it, aren't we? Yeah. So, well, do I listen to my intuition? How well? Oop. How well? I got protection. And I'm going to... All right, because it's my first time working with this deck, I'm going to read from the book. Okay. Our survival brain keeps us alive. It regulates body temperature, heartbeat, breathing, moving, resting, and feeding. It also allows us to run away from the danger, fight to protect ourselves, freeze and play dead, or appease in order to survive. Wow. The survival network of the brain is focused on identifying and responding to threats and shuts down access to our frontal cortex if it believes the threat is present. This is useful when we are faced with a predator in the wild, as we need to respond as fast as possible to survive. If you didn't receive a consistent emotional support as a child, the survival brain will kick in anytime these emotions arise. Oh my God, you guys. I go through this. Something stressful happened the other day, and I was shut down for 3 days, felt numb. I passed out all day, all night. I had, oh my gosh. Okay, I think I know where this is going, like intuitively. Whenever you notice yourself slipping into fear, worry, or anxiety, and losing your sense of joy and connection to yourself, check in with your body. Okay, so yeah, remember that conversation we were having, fear versus intuition. I know I listen to my intuition better now than I had in the past, because I used to have a lot of issues where I would, I'd hear it, I'd be like, oh, okay, intuition, but no, you know, this ain't logical. Or just out of fear to survive, I would appease to survive. So I didn't really listen to my intuition. For one, being able to admit that is taking accountability, and it is helping me heal and integrate these emotions. But as far as how well do I listen to my intuition, I still have work to do. I think fear really hinders that. And that's exactly the point I was trying to make earlier in the video. So what happens when I ignore my intuition? I can think of a lot of times I did, and it got me into horrible, serious issues. What happens when I ignore my intuition? You know, I just heard it's actually a lesson for me to get better connected to my intuition. There are times I've used it and it served me well, but more times than not, I had suppressed it. I got entanglement. Look at that card. Wow. This is just a stunning deck. So like I said, it bonds me to these situations that really hinder me, and I become entangled in this web of unintegrated emotions, pain, hurt, trauma, horrible things that end up binding me in these chains, because I need to trust myself better. I need to really try to connect deeper to this aspect of myself and the divine feminine. How does my divine wisdom communicate with me? Ooh. Jeez. So I got acceptance, journey. Wow, that card's really cool. Sacred desire. I know a lot of people just read from the top, but I feel like intuitively these came out for a reason. And that's something funny too. For someone who's ignored her intuition in a lot of situations, spiritually, my intuition is on fucking point. Like, spiritually, my intuition guides me fully. So with the Sacred Desire card, I truly feel like it's alluding to the fact that I desire a lot of things, as far as knowledge, as far as like truth, as far as occult, hidden other things. So that desire leads me to following my intuition spiritually, and that leads me down the journey, down the path, and it serves me in a lot of ways and speaks. That's where I gain a lot of my wisdom, a lot of my knowledge. I don't only just research a whole lot of things. You'd be surprised how much of this is either downloaded or I stumble upon it in my path, like doing mundane things or really meditating, ritual, communing with spirits. You would be surprised how a lot of this information comes to me. And acceptance. So with the acceptance card and these two, with acceptance comes peace, but so does wisdom. So maybe when I choose to actually see a situation or the reality of it, is when my wisdom's speaking to me, when I can clearly see the full picture of something. I definitely feel like it is through what the world mirrors to me. I feel like it's through experience. And I feel like my desires carry me there. And I feel like acceptance of myself, these situations, and with acceptance, I think also what this card means is not only with what I said, but when I can accept myself fully too, more wisdom will be more powerful, will flow through me better. Like when I can fully connect to my intuition and I fully accept all of this, I will get a bigger flow of that wisdom speaking to me. So that is my interpretation. I really hope I'm explaining this to where it makes sense. But all in all, my inner wisdom communicates with me through the journey, through my journey, my spiritual journey, my quest. What helps me hear my inner voice more clearly? What helps me hear my inner voice more clearly? Oh. Interesting. Fear. Oh. Ha. Yes. Wow. Yes. I was hearing it whisper it. I don't know if it's my guides. I don't know what it is, but sometimes when I read and I'm doing it intuitively, I'll hear things too. So I'm hearing it. Um, Showing me too in my mind a lot of instances where something big would happen, a crisis, and everyone around me is panicking, but I instantly get on top of it. Like, it's weird. Outside of these moments, I'm a basket case. I have anxiety, severe fear that holds me back or hinders me. But you let something happen, a crisis, something big, it's like a switch in me turns, and I'm like, bam, 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 on top of everything. I get the most level headed, and it drives me. And I'm telling you, zombie apocalypse or a war, you want me there. I'm just saying. So, how does it communicate with me? Through fear. So, also, I think what this could mean too, I worry so much. I have so many fears. I don't think this is saying it's so much communicating with me through these fears, as in, oh, when I'm fearful, I'm more in touch. But then again, it is saying that. When I'm getting anxiety, when I am worrying, I'm overthinking and I'm hearing my inner voice clearly. But I really need to start processing. Why am I having this happen right now? Why am I so anxious right now? Because the fact that I'm even anxious or worrying or going through all of this daily is my inner voice communicating with me. Often, a lot of times, we experience issues in the body, the mind, what have you. It is something trying to tell you, mirror back, or communicate with you that, hey, there's something here, and you're not seeing it. And because truly, we have a body, we're not a body. Like, I believe if this is simulation, I'm not really feeling pain. I'm not really feeling this anxiety. So what is it trying to teach me in this simulation? Right? Because my divine self, my God self is here, and it isn't truly experiencing what I am experiencing, so it's communicating. So I think through a lot of my fears, a lot of my issues that I go through day to day, it is my inner voice trying to communicate with me clearly. But I need to listen to it, really process and decipher what it is all of this is trying to tell me, and then I can communicate with my inner voice in other ways, better ways, because I need to actually listen to it. And that might be why it got this far with the fear, if that makes sense. It makes sense to me. I just don't know if I'm relaying it right. All right, and guidance from my higher self. How can I trust you better? And look, I know a lot of you are probably like, fear? Like, really? Like, what the hell are you talking about, Courtney? This makes no sense. It's okay. It makes sense to me. I just wish I could articulate it better and explain it better and more. But it makes perfect sense to me, because I feel like our fears or other things are all messages from our inner self. Now, oh my God. So, my message from my higher self. This looks so promising, and I love the vibes of these cards. Recognition, which is what I was pretty much just getting at, right? Recognition and hope. What comes with hope? Faith. Wow. So I want to read you a part. So there's a quote: learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow, Albert Einstein. To dream a courageous dream for ourselves and our planet, we need to nurture our heart with love and hope and be compassionate with ourselves when challenges arise. the heck was that? I just saw something out the corner of my eye, but anyway. With your perspective, are some of the hopes and dreams still true for you as they were when you were a child? Is who you are today what your inner child hoped to become? Yes and no. I think I became more than my child self thought I would become, because my child self was hopeless then. So, oh, spirits come. As I said, I was struggling with my abilities and such, and I needed to reconnect. There's one here. Hi. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. I don't know if I'm going to leave this in or not. Ooh, they're wanting to communicate. So recognition and hope. I'm sorry, guys, that really distracted me. There's something to this, so I've got to go. I want to communicate with whoever this is, and all right, my intuition's telling me to. So thank you guys so much for being here. Sending you so much love.